Is one of my personal favorites. I'm excited for this one. I hope you're excited too. This is margaritas. And margaritas, what I want to do is just kind of demystify these things because these really freak people out. People get a little bit worried especially when they go into a bar and they look at like a cocktail book that has all the drinks in there, and you get to the margarita section and there's like 80 different margaritas, and people go, "Oh my God, how do you remember 80 different margaritas?" What I'm going to show you here in a second is that margaritas are very simple. They're basically all the exact same formula, and if you can just remember that formula, then it makes these things really simple. So, 4 ingredients in every single margarita in the world. First one is our main alcohol, which is coming from Mexico, south of the border, tequila, made with the blue agave. Then your other main alcohol in a margarita is triple sec. This is an orange flavored liqueur. So also an alcohol. Liqueur just means it's flavored artificially after it's been distilled. Then we also have lime juice. So this is Rose's lime juice. Sometimes you might have real lime juice in a bar. This is just kind of fake manufactured syrup stuff, real common. Rose's, you'll see this all over the place. And then, of course, our main mix in a margarita, sweet and sour. Sweet and sour, this is manufactured limeade. So limeade from scratch, kind of like lemonade from scratch. When grandma makes lemonade from scratch, she takes lemons, squeezes them, adds water and sugar. That's lemonade. Well, if you did the same thing but with limes, that would be limeade. So squeeze limes, add water and sugar, that's limeade. This is basically just a manufactured version of limeade. That's what sweet and sour is. This is in all kinds of drinks, and this is the main mix in margaritas. So there you go. These are your 4 main ingredients. A tequila, a orange liqueur, in this instance triple sec, lime juice, and sweet and sour. Now, I always want to remind you that this class is fundamental guidelines. There's certain things that aren't going to correlate to your bar. Anything can be a little bit different. This recipe is pretty universal in where you'll go. Sometimes you might work somewhere and you might not put lime juice in your margarita. It just depends. Sometimes they have the sweet and sour on your gun so they can tweak the syrup and water ratios. It might just be your tequila, your triple sec, and then a little sweet and sour filler on a gun. Margaritas can be served 2 ways. You need to ask them 2 questions. Question number 1, blended or on the rocks? Then the other way a margarita can come is with salt. So question number 2, salt or no salt? The glasses that margaritas can come in, because I'm teaching you the traditional, original recipes and pour counts for all cocktails, we're going to make a margarita in a tall glass. Because 1.5 ounces of alcohol plus mixer filler, that guideline gives us a tall glass. But most bars that you go to, a lot of them, you'll make your margaritas by default in a highball glass. So the 2 questions again are blended or on the rocks, salt or no salt. Let's say you have a cocktail waitress that she comes up frantic. "Oh my God, I need a margarita for table 15. And table 15 is downstairs and out on the patio like a 10-minute, 15-minute walk away. And you ask her, okay, well, did they want it blended or on the rocks? Or they want salt or no salt? And she, "Oh, shit, I don't know, I forgot to ask." Now you have to make a decision on how to make this thing by default. Do you think it would be better to make this thing blended, on the rocks, salt, or no salt? Definitely better to make this thing by default on the rocks. Because if you send it down there, blended, and they want it on the rocks, you now have to dump that drink out and start over because you can't unblend it. But if you send it down there on the rocks and they want it blended, then it's real easy to just take that drink, dump it in your blender, blend it, and then there you go. No wasted drink. So then with salt or no salt, you'd probably be thinking that it would be better to go without salt. Kind of a trick question here though, because what you can do is you can half salt the rim of a glass. So let me show you. You take your glass and just roll it half in the lime juice soaked foam pad and half in your salt. And there you go. Now you have a half salted glass. You can't really half blend a margarita. You kind of can. You can do something called a flash blend. That means when you take a margarita that you're going to blend, put it in the blender, but you don't turn the blender on. You just flip the switch on and off a couple times. Technical term is toggle, the on and off switch. Or if you have a pulse button, just kind of hit that a few times because you just want to crunch it up a little bit. That's called flash blending. Kind of rare, but it might come up. So because I worked at a Mexican themed bar, I made a lot of these things. And people would ask me all the time, what's the better way to get it, blended or on the rocks? I would always recommend that they get it on the rocks because if they get it blended, a lot of times they would complain, "This tastes really weak. I don't think they'd try it. And I don't think there's any tequila in this thing. Is there any tequila? So they complain that it tastes watered down. And the reason is you're drinking the ice with the cocktail when you blend it. Say you have a normal drink. You're drinking a drink on the rocks. You get to the bottom of it, there's going to be some ice left, right? You know, if you're drinking at a normal pace. But if you're drinking a cocktail blended, no ice when you get to the bottom because you drank that with a cocktail. I mean, if you don't make the consistency right on these things sometime, meaning you have too much mix and not enough ice when you blend it, then these things will come out kind of thin, and you can watch them melt. You can pour it in there and you can literally just watch it melting. So better by default on the rocks. Salt or no salt, whatever. It's up to them. Just ask them. So let's make our first regular margarita. Let's assume they want it on the rocks, no salt. So we just take our glass full of ice, then we take our main alcohol, which is of course tequila. And what is our count here? We have 1 full ounce, so that is a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we take our orange flavored liqueur, triple sec, ½ ounce. What is our count? 1, 2. Then we need a splash of lime juice. And then you're going to fill with sweet and sour. And there you go. That is basically every margarita in the world right there. All margaritas come garnished with a lime. Because it has ice, give it a straw. Ta-da! There you go. Classic margarita. Next margarita we have is a gold margarita. So gold margarita, this is just referring to the color gold in the tequila. So that just means that in that exact same formula, you swap out your well tequila for your gold tequila. Now, most of these tequila manufacturers, they all make a gold tequila. So who knows what kind of gold tequila you're actually going to use by the time you get to your bar. Most commonly, most of the time, it's going to be this stuff right here. Jose Cuervo. Not really my favorite, but it's one of the best-selling tequilas out there. This just gold tequila is what you're going to use in a margarita instead of the regular tequila. So that's all that means. So the next one we have is a blue margarita. Blue. Okay, stop right there. That's a key word. Anytime you see or read the word blue in a cocktail recipe, something blue, anything blue, whatever blue, it means that you're going to have blue curacao in that drink. Now, can you see the piece of fruit on the front of that thing right there? That is also an orange. So take a wild shot in the dark as to what flavor this stuff is. Orange, right? Wait a minute. I thought that triple sec was orange. Yeah. Triple sec and blue curacao are the exact same thing. This just has number 2 blue food coloring in it. So these are the exact same flavor orange, they're the exact same strength. They're actually made at the exact same time, separated after birth, and this one gets blue number 2 food coloring put into it. Take the blue number 2 food coloring out, it's now triple sec. Take triple sec, put blue number 2 food coloring in, it is now blue curacao. What? So why would they do that? Because you can put this in drinks and people will literally think that it tastes different, tastes better, and then you can charge them more for it. Of course. So you're replacing one orange liqueur with the blue orange liqueur. So these guys are orange liqueurs, right? Nothing special, just kind of standard middle of the road stuff. But they do make nicer orange liqueurs. One of them is this brand right here. This is called Cointreau. Looks like Cointreau, but it's pronounced Cointreau. This is the French orange liqueur. And this is just higher quality because it's been distilled more times, and it has a higher alcohol content. What they can do in some bars is if somebody has a premium margarita or a top shelf margarita, or they want like a Patron margarita, what you'll do is, because it's a higher quality tequila, they'll match it with a higher quality orange liqueur, and therefore it's now a top shelf margarita. It's that exact same formula of 4 count tequila, 2 count orange liqueur, splash lime juice, and fill with sweet and sour. But you put your 4 count of whatever tequila that they want, you put your 2 count of Cointreau instead of triple sec, then splash of lime juice, fill with sweet and sour, and ta-da! Premium top shelf margarita. Which is kind of the case of what happens with Cadillacs. And our last orange liqueur that I'm going to show you, Grand Marnier. So Grand Marnier, this is the Cadillac of orange liqueurs. This is what makes a margarita a Cadillac, a float of Grand Marnier. So kind of like that second scenario of a premium top shelf margarita where they can float this on top. Floating Grand Marnier on top of a margarita is what makes it a Cadillac. I would staple that to your brain or write it down. Cadillac equals Grand Marnier float. And that's it. So basically we just take all those exact same margaritas that we just learned and you float a little bit of Grand Marnier on top and that's it. Alright, so that's the basis of all margaritas right there. Now let me show you how you can take this basically one same recipe and extrapolate this out to have 80 different margaritas in your bar. You can do it by having flavored margaritas. And the reason it can grow so vast is that you can do flavored margaritas 2 ways. First, you can do them blended with fresh fruit. So whatever type of fresh fruit that you have, strawberries, mangoes, bananas, peaches, blueberries, anything. What you do is you'll blend that fruit into a margarita. So what you do again with your blender, pretend this is our blender again, because remember you put your ice up to your 1 drink line and then all your ingredients. So if you put your ice in there and then your fruit on top of that, you're going to go over your line. So you want to put your fruit in there first, then fill on top of that ice right up to your 1 drink line that you have marked on your blender. So basically the fruit is replacing some of the ice in a blended margarita. That's all that's happening in a fruit margarita. Then you'll put the same amount of the same ingredients. 4 count tequila, 2 count triple sec, splash lime juice, fill sweet and sour right to that line, blend, and voila. Now you'll have a blended fruit flavored margarita, limited only by the fruit that your manager wants to have in your bar. Or you can also have flavored margaritas by floating a flavored liqueur on top. You're limited only by the flavored liqueurs that you have in your bar. And they make like every flavor under the rainbow. Banana and raspberry and apple and cherry and peach and strawberry and blueberry and everything. Anything you can think of, they make a flavor for. So these flavored liqueur margaritas can be served on the rocks or they can be blended. So they can blend them if they want them blended, or they can be on the rocks because you're just taking a flavored liqueur. So you just take whatever flavored liqueur they want and you float it on top of the margarita that you've made them. So if it was like a peach Cadillac, when you're filling up the sweet and sour, you'd leave enough room for a Grand Marnier and a peach schnapps float. I think you get the point and why I say that basically margaritas are all the exact same drink and they're very, very simple.